It's absolutely imperative, no doubt about it. And I think this has only been underlined more strongly by the current level of global fuel prices as a result of global inflation, the Ukraine Russia conflict. Maldives simply cannot afford to rely on imported diesel, on liquid fuel products for its future energy needs, with fuel prices as high as they currently are at the moment. And we expect this to continue into the future, even after the current global crises. We see supplies tightening over the next several decades. This will lead to chronic fuel prices. And we have to applaud the Maldives government. They're doing the right things. They're putting in place the plans, the actions that will take them away from imported fossil fuel to other alternatives that are not only cheaper, but also cleaner. And that's very important for the Maldives also. True, the upfront costs for investment in renewables are high. The capital comes all at the front end. The benefit of renewables is that there are no fuel costs. So over time, you've got very little operating and maintenance costs. You've got no fuel costs, and those savings accrue over time. At the moment, the World Bank is supporting the government of Maldives in two projects that will increase renewables by about 70 megawatts, about 10% of your current uh, um, generating capacity. We expect that those two projects alone will save around $20 million a year on the Maldives fuel budget. So these savings will accrue over time. It's like any good investment. You make the investment up front, you get the benefits over time. And this shift that the Maldives is making is extremely important for the future prosperity of the country. Maldives has that support already. Uh, the Maldives has already stated ambitious targets of being net zero by 2030. That's enough to bring us into action to support the Maldives. Beyond that, it's doing the right things. It's looking at the best ways in which it can work with institutions like the World Bank, other multilateral lenders, to transform its energy sector. It understands that we have limited resources we can make available to the Maldives. So it has taken an approach which mobilizes private capital, and we will utilize our resources to de-risk projects at the front end, ensure that the cost of entry for private capital is as low as possible, and that will help scale up investment in renewables. So once again, the Maldives is doing the right thing, structuring transactions transparently, introducing competition, bringing in private sector to support this investment in renewables so that the government's own public resources, which are constrained, are not used for that. They can be used for other things. And that's enough. That's enough for us to be able to step up and support the Maldives. They're doing the right things. So we have two programs. They've been running for several years now. They both do essentially the same. The first program was more of a proof of concept. How can you create a structure for investment in renewable energy in the Maldives that will attract the private sector in, that will attract private financing in, and do all of that for at a price point that not only competes with imported diesel, but easily beats that. And that has been achieved. We've seen that over the last several years. The first round of auctions for renewable energy, we got a price of 21 cents per unit. We continued to work with the de-risking, with the cost structures. The second round of bids, a much larger round, we got 10 cents per unit. The price halved within several years. We expect as the Maldives now rolls out its renewable energy program, we'll see greater confidence within the developers and financiers that are investing in that. The market is being established now, and that price will continue to come down. It is already very competitive, though. So the Maldives have done a great job of structuring the transactions diligently, transparently. They've de-risked the transactions. That's how we have helped. by providing risk mitigation, by providing subsidy to the upfront capital cost of these projects. And I think now is on a flight path to affordable renewables within the Maldives energy sector. What's really important about what the has done is that it has proven that you can successfully bring renewables into an island state where costs are naturally higher because of the logistics involved, and establish those renewables at a price point that competes with other forms of imported energy. It has shown that if you select the right business models, if you structure them well, if you underwrite them with de-risking elements, credit enhancement, then you can get the private sector to come and invest in an island state like the Maldives. You can get their financiers to invest behind them in this sort of infrastructure. It's a great example to the other island states, and this is how I think Maldives is contributing just by doing this successfully within its own context. Yes, it's absolutely critical that as the Maldives builds a market for renewable energy, it has the human resources that can build that market, maintain it, operate it, integrate it into the power system, and that's built into the projects that we're working on with the government of the Maldives. Part of our focus is on the institutions that will implement these projects, that will sustain them, operate and maintain them over their life cycle. So we're also investing alongside the government of Maldives in capacity development, in the training of staff that are required in these projects. And within that, we also have a distinct bias towards inclusion across a wide range of diversity. We have a program that very specifically targets female inclusion, the hire of female engineers, the training of female engineers, um, women's workforce participation at all levels, from management levels right through to working levels of the organisations that we're working with. This program, it's called We Power, has been established across South Asia, and it's also active in the Maldives. So the government counterparts, the institutions, utilities that we're working with, enroll in this program as partners, and the partners help each other in understanding how they can introduce gender diversity in particular within their workforces and within the energy sector. But firstly, what the Maldives is doing is already innovative. It has moved very quickly um, to address the issues that come with integrating solar into its network, already looking at investments in battery storage, already looking at grid upgrades, already looking at smart technology within its electricity sector. This is absolutely critical. You need to build a smart system to bring renewables into it. And the Maldives government is making these investments now, supported by the World Bank. There are other areas of innovation beyond that we have already discussed with the government of Maldives, looking at a range of other technologies that could be applicable in the Maldives. Um, uh, Ocean generated energy, for example, typically always high cost and not necessarily economic. But in the current situation where imported fuel is so expensive, it now brings other technologies such as this into play. One of the areas that we are working with the government of the Maldives on very specifically is e-mobility, looking at the transition of the public vehicle fleet, of privately owned vehicles to electricity. This will make more sense as renewables grow into the energy system and the energy system is not predominantly diesel run. But over time, as more renewables come into the energy system, it makes sense to also transition transport, which is also very expensive to run on high imported fuel costs, to use of renewable electricity through the electricity system. Another area that we're doing some early work with the Maldives on is the utilisation of green hydrogen within its energy mix. Because of its small island status, it's not likely that we'll see the economies of scale that would allow the Maldives to produce green hydrogen, but there is the potential for the Maldives to import green hydrogen and establish infrastructure to utilise that within its energy system as well. We'll be working with the Maldives government to explore these sorts of options, see whether or not they can be brought into the energy framework economically. And over time, if so, then we'll also support the Maldives in making those steps.